How many times has this happened to you?
I have one question. Can I take this move back?
You're in check. Make a move to get out of it.
Well, yes, I mean, I don't want to be in check, but I also don't want to lose many of my pieces. And with the way this looks out here, I'm going to lose something, so I'm actually feeling pretty bad about this, and I don't really like the way that you're approaching me with all of this negative energy.
Can you just take an action that's faster than continental drift?
Look, I'm not trying to take a long time on purpose. The only thing that I'm doing is ensuring that I make the best move that's the best for me. I don't really want to put myself into too much of a precarious situation.
Tired of players grinding your tabletop game experiences to a halt? With the Dextera button, you can keep your sessions moving at a brisk and reasonable pace by encouraging movement. The Dextera button's GPS sensor can be installed in someone when they are least expecting it and activates when procrastination is detected during the pace and play. Simply initiate the remote trigger and speed your opponent's activity.
Last favor. Would you mind if I took that move back?
Well, I'd be a poor host if I didn't consider this. By all means, Reginald Bear, take all the time you need.
The Dextera button. Order now on Amazon. Side effects may include nausea, headaches, werewolf explosions, temporary 80s pants, restless eyelids, naturally occurring buckets, Johnny Young bosses, sneezing, coughing, and a desire to purchase corduroy pants. If your gaming session exceeds 8 hours, consult your physician.
That felt good. I don't have any friends to play games with.
When it comes to selecting a tabletop game that everybody can play without having to teach them a lot of heavy intricacies or special rules, it really is hard to hit that magic number of offering a fairly meaty and substantial tabletop without overwhelming somebody with a great deal of rules. You don't want to spring an Agricola or a Scythe on somebody their first time playing through. They wouldn't be able to process anything and it could turn them away. Well, the company behind Funko Pops decided to throw their hand into making tabletop games, but instead of just attaching their name to something like Monopoly or Munchkin, or making a theme like that, they decided to build a brand new style of game from the ground up. Introducing Funkoverse.
So here's a basic overlay on how Funkoverse is played. This is just the general mechanics, the rest can be up to player creativity. You have up to 2 basic actions per character, and each of your 5 actions are indicated here on this marker. Move, challenge, assist, interact, and rally. I'm going to go over movement first. Movement can take up to 4 squares if you use both of your turns, or up to 2 squares on one of your turns. So you can move 2 spaces in front of you or 2 spaces adjacent. These blue lines here indicate barriers and walls so that you cannot go through these, and if you're here on a corner per se, that kind of juts out a little bit, so that means that if there's an enemy, say, on this square, you cannot, oh, sorry Harley. So if an enemy is standing here, you cannot interact with them from that perspective. You are capable of moving diagonally. That also takes up 1 space. Something that you can't do, you can't roll over your movement into 1 square. It's like you can't move 3 spaces and then take another action, because the second you take that secondary 3rd turn, that counts as your second action. Bear that in mind. Now going over challenge. Challenge again takes up 1 full action, and you can challenge any ally that is adjacent to you, whether they're directly in front of you or from this angle altogether, or if you have a ranged attack. A little more on that later. So challenge, each character can challenge with up to 2 of these battle dice. Battle dice indicate attack and defense. The shield guarantees you 1 defense. This counts as 1 attack. You have 3 exclamation marks, which counts as a max roll for that one for whatever you're rolling for. So if you're rolling for defense, this automatically counts as 3. If your second dice, rolls on a shield, that counts as 4, giving you a score buffer. The score would have to be matched or beaten on defense in order to keep from suffering damage. The same thing when you're attacking, this will count as 4. Both characters will roll, and when you match that, for instance, that would be 2 attacks for Batman. Harley would roll 2 of these, which does absolutely nothing, so that would knock her down. Next is assisting. If a character is standing next to an ally that is down, you can use 1 turn to stand them back up. Interacting is a full action that takes place when you're interacting with an item that is on the playing field. Like for instance, this would be a victory crystal. This would count as 1 full action in order to acquire this. Going back on movement for a second, it's also worth noting that you can pass through allies. So if you're standing here, you do get a free reign to move past Harley Quinn, for example. However, you can't do the same thing with enemies. So, if your opponents are, let's say, blocking a path right here, then you would have no choice but to divert around them or challenge them head-on in combat. This is your cooldown tracker. Your cooldown tracker works for items that you happen to pick up, like victory tokens that are on the playing field. When you get a token on the playing field, by taking 1 full action of course, this goes right here, and at the end of every turn, it moves down 1. Once it gets all the way down to here for 1, on the next turn, it rolls off and back onto the play map wherever you had it. When it comes to combat, if you've challenged someone, and if you've knocked them down, and if you happen to attack them again and successfully roll, you knock them off of the playing field. They go off onto the playing field for this 1 turn. Now at the next action, this character will come back and respawn at their starting point. Talking character abilities, each character has a unique set of skills. These don't count as a turn and can be interacted whenever the situation is required for them. The same also works true with your character abilities. Now your character's special skills are indicated by these markers right here, which you'll have a couple of these tokens off to the playing field. Use the appropriate one which is indicated accordingly. For instance, Whirlywin requires a 2-point cooldown, so you'll place this right here, and as with the victory tokens, it rolls down, and at the beginning of the next turn, that goes back into your resource pool. Each Funkoverse box comes with 4 different scenarios: control, leaders, territory, or flags. The core mechanics remain the same, but the win objectives slightly vary.
With the indicator on the side, it's guaranteed that this is going to be a series, so the heart of Funkoverse could be future editions, or other characters, or other packages, so I think as long as they can keep the franchises that they include into this fresh, I think that there could be a lot of variables to juggle in it to keep it interesting. And plus, it's going to give you another reason to collect Funko Pops. And since these are Pops of a different size, that's going to be something else to collect, so get ready for some Magic the Gathering style addiction. Overall, Funkoverse appears to be very entertaining. Look for it in early October at retailers.